Hi there guys, it's Rav. Today we're going to be going over the patch that just dropped for Bob today, the Ancient Awakening patch. Starting off with the biggest change is the new Pteranodon. With a new ability and all new skins including the Shimmer, this guy feels really fresh to play. I'm not really a flyer main myself, but maybe soon I'll make a video for them later as well. They also got some stat changes I will put on the screen because there's kind of a lot of them, but I hope you have a lot of fun playing it. We also have a bunch of bugs that are hopefully patched. Some pretty big ones were in there like the QoL Chainsaw Bite and teleporters damage you when you enter them. Overall though, some nice QoL bug fixes and hopefully they stay that way. For the actual QoL changes, there's actually quite a bit of them. The ones I think are the most notable are sturdy showing when it's ready and when it's turned off, since it's always a bit hard to tell if it was actually going to work, especially if you're in the middle of a fight. There were also 3 admin commands that got updated that will be useful for private servers, which are admins are now able to grab gores with the spectate camera. You can now add all the mini shrines with the foliage placement tool, so you can give players an easier way to get the shrine buffs. And lastly, you can now spawn gores and fat plants in the life cycle game mode that was locked beforehand. I think chill servers and servers that with shops will love these commands. If you're a server owner, let me know in the comments below what you think about it. Now we're going to be going over the blanket balance changes. Scavenger got nerfed by protecting you less from the negative effects of eating the chinlo fish, so you'll get more negative bias. In general, non-piscivores also get 33% less food, and normal piscivores get a 33% buff. Basically, this means all the Chronos and Moses, and maybe even the Rexes and Acros that were swimming in the water to go get the AI fish will no longer be able to just feed off this alone, while also increasing the actual piscivores like Ichthys, Elasmo, and both the flyers. The clotting talent that is found in most herbivores got a 40% buff to its effectiveness, so I think we are going to start seeing this talent picked up a lot more as it's a lot stronger now. The damage reduction people got when they got bleed also has been reduced, so Acro, Megarat, and Koa all got indirectly nerfed more or less. I think overall this is for the best though, as the bleed mechanic was pretty frustrating to fight against for pretty much everyone, especially the big boys like Apato and Zychania, and I still think that bleed is going to be good no matter what into the future. Nest Raider got a buff so that babies that are picked up do less damage to you, and for Megarat, Tropio, Terra, and Velo, they can count towards the meat requirement, though Patchy while having the talent did not get this change, which is a bit strange. Now we're going to go over the individual changes for all the creatures. Apatosaurus got a pretty hefty buff to its healing at a 20% buff, so taking the healing talent is going to be a lot more effective now, as before you would have to wait quite a bit to heal to full health. It also got 2 new skins, the first one being called Netted Vine, who were made by Valhalla and Nonyapai, and the other being the new Shimmer skin called Spring Guardian made by Souls and Twilight. These skins are both really beautiful and I plan on using them in the future when I'm not using Calpato. Cohelus takes 40% less stamina damage from exhausting bite damage, so it's going to be a lot harder to cheese Koa, though I don't think this will affect its matchup with Rex in particular, so don't get too excited. I do think that this will help overall though, and hopefully Koa is in a better spot now. Other than Pteranodon, Elasmo got changed the most by far this patch, with it receiving a better turn rate, 175 health, 20 more base damage, and now it's the Bleeder of the Ocean. It also got its dart lowered, so it's a lot cheaper to use now. I see Elasmo getting played a lot more in the future, and with these pretty hefty buffs, maybe much like Ichthys, it will be in the spotlight. Ichthys finally got a nerf to its Stormlord buff from 50% to 25% effectiveness, but it did get an increase to its dart hitbox size, so it should be easier to hit things now than it was before. Lurdu, much like Ichthys, also got a hitbox adjustment, but more importantly got a 27% healing buff to go along with it. This will mean that you'll be able to heal a lot faster in your fights, especially when you're going in and out of the water to fight things. Chrono got some pretty massive buffs with a nice QoL change from its lunge damage being increased to 150 from 126, a weight increase to 3100 up from 2900, meaning grabbing it will be harder though you'll need to eat more now. You can now struggle out of Moses grabs like any other darter, and your base damage was increased from 305 from 255, which is a pretty huge difference for an aquatic. Moses got a nice buff getting slippery, which replaced adrenaline, but got 2 pretty big nerfs in return. The first is to its dart, which now costs more to use, meaning you will need to use it more sparingly. And the second is that they made it so the ability power tick size now scales with growth, meaning bigger creatures are now going to be harder to thrash to death. I'll be honest, I saw this coming for a long time now. Moses was going to receive some nerfs eventually, but we will see if these changes will be enough to make it balanced, at least to the community's standards. Eryctodromius got a 25% healing buff, which is nice if you get hit and need to get back into the fight. It also got a nice QoL change with its underground distance trial being reduced by 33%. So if you're like me and you don't spend a lot of time in the burrows because you're actually helping your group, you might have a chance to complete this trial. Para's healing was increased by 20%. This buff is going to make Para a lot harder to face for the hit and run guys like Levinator to try and wither it down. So I think Para pretty much got straight buff this patch without really losing anything. So I got some pretty big mechanic changes with it now getting a 6.5 second speed boost when someone hits the spiky shield ability. The boost at its base speed increase is 30%, which can be increased with the steadfast talent, and if they hit you twice, this effect doubles, meaning you can get a 60% boost to your speed at the minimum. I think this is going to help out a lot with Sai's current problem, which is not being able to catch a lot of its targets, but only time will tell. Rex got its food drain increased by 18%, meaning they lose more food per tick, especially as they grow bigger, and its distance trial also was lowered by 33%, so you should have no problem getting the distance trial done, though I'll be honest, I've never had a problem with it before. I have grown a lot of decent sized Rexes. Lastly, we have Velociraptor. Velo also got a buff to its healing by 25% and got 2 QoL changes along with it. The first being it can now attack while it's climbing, and the second is now it can pick up objects and drop things while it's climbing. That's all the patch notes. If you guys want to read them yourself, I'm going to leave a link in the description below. If you guys like this video, think about subscribing as I plan to do more of these in the future. And finally, leave your comments on how you feel about the patch below, whether you like it or you don't. I hope you guys have fun with the new patch, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.